goalie today?
Anderson.
Don, what's your thought on having them a full house? You know what you're dealing with team-wise anyway, but now you're going to be dealing with a full house.
That's exciting. It's fun. It's way better. We played Montreal, and these guys want enthusiasm, adrenaline, excitement, and we want the best. I mean, we want to play against the best every opponent. So it's exciting to play the Maple Leafs. It's exciting because they're so talented. They're scoring like crazy now, and you got a great building and fans that are going to be into it. So we're going to have to deal with all of that, and that is going to be good for us to deal with that. Have to deal with that. Have to learn how to deal with that and rise to the challenge like that. So we're excited. I know our guys will be really excited for it.
How much does that, kind of what you talked about yesterday, how much does that add to the emphasis on the start? Because if you let them get that momentum right away and that crowd is here, it's just going to be a snowball.
Yeah, it is something that you have to strategically be aware of as you do. You want to do your best to limit everything I just talked about. That's the challenge of it, to try to limit the excitement in the building, the fan energy, the extra adrenaline that players might get from that. And a lot of that is not giving them anything easy, especially early. Again, that's just part of the challenge, the many challenges when you go into situations like this, and it's a big one. A good start is a big one.
What stands out most to you about Toronto's top line when you do the pre-scout?
Which is their top line?
Yeah. Sure?
Yeah, no, it's yeah, they have lots and lots of well, what stands out is if you just concentrate too much on them, the other guys will hurt you too. So you have to respect top players in this league and their abilities, and they've got lots of top players. But Marner and Matthews are two guys I've watched since they were teenagers, and you see them now. It's not even a surprise. It's no surprise. They still look to me as if they were teenagers. Just two extremely talented guys having fun doing what they're doing. And oh, by the way, it's at the NHL level now.
What do you remember the first time you saw Marner when he was a teenager?
Geez, probably in London, driving up to watch games there when Matthew Tkachuk was there, and maybe U17s before that. I can't remember where the first time I saw him, but I remember a couple games in London that he showed how special he is as a player.
Donnie, as somebody that coached Matthews and saw his progression with the U.S. national, under 18s, how have you seen, from what you've seen, him take his game to the next level? And I know you've always thought that the ceiling is pretty much limitless for him, just the stage that he's gotten to right now.
Yeah, no, it's like I said with Marner too. It's not, when you watch these guys as young guys, what they're doing is no surprise. I mean, they're extremely talented. Austin, in this case, he's a goal scorer, and he's scoring goals, and there's so much more than that. It's, let's not forget, for those two guys, this is an extremely challenging market. I mean, they're living in a microscope, under a microscope every day. So that can even stunt and derail progress lots of times. And give those two guys credit, because they've continually made improvements, much similar to where our team is. We've got a lot of young guys that need to plow through a lot of tough times to get to where they're going to go. And we're playing against them, but it's always nice to see guys get better in this league, guys that love the game, and guys that are good people.
His name's been thrown about as maybe even as a Selke candidate. How have you seen, from what little you've seen, his game improve in that area? Yeah, I mean,
he always, I got a chuckle out of it even when he entered the league. He did have an appreciation for that side of the game. I mean, I had no problem using him in U18 World Championships against Laine, Aho, Puljujärvi, on and on, guys in the tournament that were prolific. And he wants to win, and so he's. And part of winning is just shutting a guy down, and he's always had that it's winning a face-off has always been important to him. So it's not a, he should be talked about in that light because he's good in those areas.
Don, a guy that you coached who actually plays for your team.
Yeah.
Is Tage Thompson.
Well, I got a few on my team.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have too. So.
But Tage Thompson, a guy who for the first couple of years of his career obviously had to, was saddled with some level of expectation because of the trade, and this year obviously is living up to that expectation.
Yeah.
How have you viewed his progression and what he's doing now?
Yeah, no, Tage it's a great point to bring up because Tage had the burden of being traded for who he was traded for. And, as a young guy that hadn't had much experience in the league when he came to Buffalo from St. Louis, and the expectations on him were daunting, and he had to fight through that and to arrive, where he's arrived to this point. But there's so much more to his game. Ironically, he and Austin were on the same team I had, and Tage was, down the lineup. Him and Troy Terry for an example, were our fourth line guys. We're on the fourth line, and you could see both those kids the potential they had. And it's nice to be able to work with Tage. And we shifted him from wing to center this year, and it was nice for me because I just knew he was going to be good there. And now he's proven that, and so you have the advantage when you see these young guys in times they've been successful, that you get an easier vision for them.
Exactly.
And
when you came in, did you have a lot of confidence that he was going to
at
some point?
I kept telling Tage I have more confidence in him than he has in himself. Repetitively, to let him know he has my support in where he's going. And Tage's the guy that always had long-term confidence. It's going to work out. It's going to work out. And some guys, have the opposite. They have short-term confidence where I need it to work out today. And we needed Tage to make that shift. And in essence, that's the shift. He knows he's put all the work in needed to get rewarded right now, today. And that's been a real big shift in his performance. And because all this talent has been there. It's just he's going at it much, much more competitively. And that's given him more confidence.
What impact have you seen Alex Tuck bring to the locker room since coming? And what does it mean to the team to see a guy like that succeed on the ice, who's also publicly kind of affirmed his commitment to Buffalo?
He brings a lot of different things. The biggest unique thing for him is that he's from upstate New York, and he grew up a Sabre fan, and he has that passion. When he puts the jersey on and goes out there, there's a lot of meaning to him in that. That's nice to have in your locker room, especially with a guy that other players, look up to, admire, are excited to be, on the same team with him or same line. So, in his, and then obviously he's coming from Vegas that's had some success, has lots of obviously very experienced, talented players. He's had to take a back seat to those guys. That's probably why he was available in a trade. And we see immense potential. I mean, another guy I've watched since he was 15, 16 years old, and he's not even close to his ceiling, and I'm challenging him with that quite a bit. I don't think he knows how good he can be in this league yet, and that's exciting for us as an organization to have that element on top of all the other things we just mentioned.
We were talking about Casey Middlestat yesterday. When he's on his game like he was late last season in training camp, just what do you see from him, I guess?
Well, when he was on his game so good last season, it's complicated this season for him because he's battling the injury and his personal expectations of getting to that point. So, in that process, he's played frustrated. And we've talked about frustration a lot. You're going to get frustrated, but you can't play frustrated, and he's done that. But he's worked he looks even better this morning than he did even the other day. So every day he's getting his legs back, his mobility back. The injury hampered, the recovery hampered that. But he'll get back to his game. It's just, in his standard, it's just going to take him a little more time than he'd like.
Have you seen visible frustration from him?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's visibly you see it, and then in his game, taking maybe a shortcut here or there because he's not moving as well. You take shortcuts instead of being efficient, and he's gotten caught a couple times in games, and that's obviously that's something I would be frustrated with on the coaching side. But he's adjusted, acclimated to that and where he's at now. And with him, like many experienced players, you're going to play lots of games in your career if you're going to have a long career where you don't feel good, and you have to learn to adapt your game to when you don't feel good, because you're not going to be on 82 games, and even in the 7-game playoff series. So it's the days you're not on to still be effective somehow and find a way to be effective, and that's a challenge for not only him but for our team, because you have so many young guys. That's where a player like Kyle Okposo, that's his experience. He can do that. He doesn't have it every night, but he brings something every night. And Casey's, that process is accelerated right now. He's in that moment right now.
Don, what went into the right side D flip?
I'm sorry, Mike.
The right side D's flip at the top two with Bryson and Fitzgerald.
It might not be that way either. It's those two guys will flip back and forth, but when we do make a flip, Mike, it might, there's probably two things. Maybe the chemistry wasn't right, or we feel it's better chemistry, or directly matchups. So I'm not certain that we'll keep it how we had it there this morning, but we're, like as we talked about a lot of mixing with lines and pairs and stuff, just to make sure everybody can operate with everybody, communicate with everybody.
You mentioned this could be a tough market for young guys, especially when you think back of a young Austin coming out of Arizona, where there's not a lot of attention. Yeah. Why do you think he had the right personality to succeed in a place like this?
With him, it was really simple. The player, when you're a coach and you challenge your players, which we do have to every day, but you throw them on the ice, and the guy across from him in the other colored jersey challenges him harder than you can challenge him as a coach, you probably need to play in the American League. And with Austin, having him and having been around the NHL, I didn't feel there was any player that was going to break his confidence. If he ended up struggling on a certain night, he would want to go back and play against that player. I can tell you just from working with him, I want that player again because I will fix this right now. And when that's in essence, that's what the process of what happens for these guys that enter the league. Are they confident enough against the opponent across from them? And so for him, his skill level was so high, like the other guys we spoke of, that dynamic was removed. So if he had a night where he lost his confidence or didn't play well and it hit the he knew he could fix it, in essence, and that's what talented players do.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.